Thank you very much.
Ladies and gentlemen, good evening to everyone who's streaming live in our today's session. This is Mr. Gina, and I will be the one who will be facilitating history lessons in this visual tuition program for 2026, starting from today, the 22nd of April, up until the last day, which will be the 31st of April this year. Which means that every Thursday from 6 p.m. to 7 p.m. we will be having a program which will be called History Wednesday. Let me repeat again. Every Wednesday, starting from today up until the last day of the program, 31st of October this year, we will be having a program which is called a History Wednesday from 6 p.m. to 7 p.m. This is where we will be discussing all grade 12 history topics. So therefore, we are encouraging each and every history learner in grade 12 across the province to make sure that they participate in this history program, because we will be discussing history topics for grade 12 learners. Bantabam, however, I'm not alone in this program. I am with a colleague here who will also be facilitating history lessons. So in some instances, you will see myself appearing in certain topics and you will see my colleagues appearing in other certain topics. Now, allow me to introduce my colleague, Mr. Kuala.
Thank you very much, Mr. Gina. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. I am Mr. Kuala. We will be working together with Mr. Gina in facilitating this program. I want to remind you of certain things that are very, very important. The first thing that is important that you must do as you are streaming live, go to our question and answer option that is appearing there and fill in the register. And please note that as we will be conducting our lessons, at some point we will be code switching for the purposes of inclusion. But we will try by all means that if we said something in isiZulu, we are also going to repeat that particular thing in English. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to History Wednesday. As we are welcoming you to History Wednesday, ladies and gentlemen, it is also important to remind ourselves of what is history. You must be reminded that the subject that we will be dealing with here, ladies and gentlemen, is a very, very important subject. Ever since this subject is the mother of all subjects that exist in our schooling system. History is the mother of each and every subject that exists in the schooling system, simply because everything that is discussed in all those subjects, everything that they are discussing was agreed upon in the past. Remember, when we are talking about history, Mr. Gina, we are talking about the study of the past. That allows us to understand the present so that we can be able to predict the future. We are talking about a subject that gave birth to each and every subject that exists in our schooling system. The word history, as we all know, that it comes from the word historia, and historia simply means knowledge is acquired through investigation. So each and everything that we will be presenting in front of you today, it was acquired through investigation. Allow me to take you through the topic that we will be covering today. We will be covering the civil society protest from the 1950s up until the 1970s. And our focus will be in the civil rights movement. The civil rights movement forms part of paper 1. It is a source-based question that forms part of paper 1. It is for that reason that, ladies and gentlemen, we start by taking you through the examination guidelines of paper 1. Now, when we are talking about paper 1 will be covering these topics that are appearing in your screen right now. So when we are talking about paper one, our paper one is divided into two sections. Remember, again, when we are doing paper two, we'll start with this particular outline first. Now, paper one is divided into two sections. We have section A, which only covers the source-based question, and we also have section B, which covers the essay question. I hope you still follow, ladies and gentlemen. And remember, in section A, we have three questions. Question 1, question 2, as well as question 3. All these three questions, they are worth 50 marks. The reason why we do this, ladies and gentlemen, is to remind yourself that when we are preparing for the source-based questions and when we are preparing for essays, you must prepare differently. So question 1 in the source-based question will be the Cold War, but the focus will be on the origin of the Cold War. And the question 2 will be independent Africa, and the focus will be in Angola. And the question 3 will be the civil society protest from 1950s to the 1970s. Please note that our focus will be in the civil rights movement. And again, when it comes to section B of the essays, now we have question 4, and the question 4 is also worth 50 marks. We have question 5, which is also worth 50 marks, and we have question 6, which is also worth 50 marks. Now, in question 4, there is an extension of the Cold War. Remember, this content is different from the content of question 1, simply because in the extension of the Cold War, our focus will be in the Vietnam War. And in question 5, we will also be talking about independent Africa, but it's different from question 2. Ever since in question 5, we will be focusing on the challenges that were faced by Congo after they gained their independence. And again, in question 6, we will be covering the civil society protest from 1950s to the 1970s. Now remember, this content is different from question 3, ever since in question 5, we will be focusing on the Black Power movement. So please note, ladies and gentlemen, that when you are attempting your questions in your answer sheet, your questions you must write out of 150. Your paper is out of 150. So you have two options of answering. The first option, let us call this option option A. It is an option of taking two source-based questions as well as one essay. In whatever order, you can take maybe as a source base, you can take question 2 as well as question 3, and then you take one essay, which can be question 6, question 5, or question 4. I hope you do understand. Option A says you respond to two source base as well as one essay, which will give you how many marks? Which will give you 150 marks. And then in section B, that in option B, that is whereby you take only one source. You can either take the origin of the Cold War, you can either take Angola, you can also take, if you want, the civil rights movement, but there must be only one source, as well as two essays, which can be either question 5, question 6, or question 4. I hope you are still following, and that will also give you 150 marks. So in history, we always encourage our students to take the option that we call option B, the option of two essays and one source, simply because it is easy to pass if you are taking two essays as well as one source, simply because when you are attempting your essays, you come to the examination room with the content already in your mind. The only thing that you must do when you enter the examination room, or or when you are attempting an essay, is just to develop a clear line of argument from the introduction up until conclusion. So today, Mr. Gina will be taking us through question 3, which will focus on the civil rights movement, which forms part of the source-based question. Ladies and gentlemen, let us allow Mr. Gina to take us through the lesson. Thank you very much.
Thank you, colleagues. Once again, good evening, grade 12 learners. As my colleague, Mr. Kwala, has alluded, that's our main focus today is section A, which is source-based question, but starting with question 3, which is civil society protest from 1950s to the 1970s, focusing on the USA civil rights movement, focusing on the USA civil rights movement. Okay, now because we are focusing on the USA civil rights movement, we start our lesson by showing you the map of USA. This is a map of USA. You can see all these places that you see here. All these places that you see here are called states, in America. All these places that you see here are called states in America. And our focus will be here below this line. Our focus will be here below this line. Why our focus will be below this line? Because above this line, the states that are found above this line are called northern states of America. Northern states of America. And all the states that are below this line are called southern states of America. Southern states of America. And our focus will be the states that are below this line. Why we are focusing on the southern states of America? Because this is where discrimination was exercised against African American. We are focusing on these states that is below this line, which are called southern states of America. Why? Because these are the states whereby discrimination against African Americans, black people in America, was exercised. Are we clear? Let's move to the next slide. If you are engaging in this content or topic of civil rights movement, these are important. These are very key important. That's key important concepts that you need to understand. And the manner in which we have lined them in this table, is that each and everyone who engages them, they should find a chronological aspect of the civil rights movement, starting with the first one, which is Jim Crow laws. Now, what were the Jim Crow laws, grade 12 learners? Jim Crow laws were the laws of segregation in public facilities where in the southern states. Remember we said that when we were showing the map of USA, our focus here will be in the southern states, because this is where discrimination was exercised against African American. So now in the southern states of America, there was a law that was introduced which was called Jim Crow laws. Now it is defined as the laws of segregation in public facilities in the southern states of America. Now here is the key here in this Jim Crow laws: segregation of public facilities. Segregation of public facilities. What is it that is being segregated? It's public facilities, public places. Now, when they say it's a segregation of public facilities, what is segregation? Segregation is our next concept to know. Segregation is defined as a separation of black people according to their own race. Now, in America, grade 12, there were two groups: white Americans and black Americans, and the Black Americans were known as African Americans. Now, this segregation, as it's being stated that it is an act of separating people according to their race. In America, they separated public places for Black Americans and for white Americans. Just like in South Africa during the period of apartheid, you remember that there was a segregation in South Africa where there were public places for Black people and public places for white people. The same thing happened in America due to the Jim Crow laws. There was a separation of public facilities or public places based on the race. Now, African Americans, they didn't like that. They didn't want to be separated. They didn't want separate public facilities. They wanted each and everyone in America to be the same, to be treated the same. So basically, they wanted equality, the Black people. They wanted to see themselves uniting as one people of citizens of America. Hence, they wanted something which was called integration. They wanted to integrate, to unite. Black people wanted to unite with white people. They wanted to integrate, which something called integration as our next key concept. Now, integration is defined as the intermixing of people from groups that were previously segregated. What segregated these people? It's these Jim Crow laws. Angazi noma uyabona ukuthi sihamba ngesequence ezokunikeza chronology. There was Jim Crow laws that promoted segregation, and Black people didn't want that. They wanted a unity which was called integration. But for Black people, it wasn't easy for them just to unite or to do what? To integrate with the white people. Why? Because white people were given full rights, while abantu abamnyama in America, African Americans, were not given full rights. At first, for them to unite, to integrate, they needed to achieve a civil rights. They wanted to have full rights as the citizens of America, just like the white people, so that they can unite or join together or integrate. Sihamba ngesequence ye-chronology. They wanted to gain a civil rights. Now, civil rights are defined as the rights of citizens to political, social freedom, and equality for all citizens. And now, Black people, African Americans, they realized that this civil rights movement, these rights, they are not going just to be given by white people. These rights, they had to fight for it. Now, they had to come up with actions of doing what? Of attaining these rights. Hence, the action they came up with was the movement, a movement which was called Civil Rights Movement, a movement to get the civil rights. Now, civil rights movement is defined as the protest campaigns in USA aimed at gaining full civil rights for African Americans in 1950s and 1960s. Are we clear? Now, the leaders of civil rights movement, when they sat down, they had to get an approach to say, in order for us to make our movement to be successful, which approach must we take? Do we need to use violence? Or do we need to be peaceful? And then they realized that a peaceful approach will be the one which will make their movement to become successful. Hence, they opted for a peaceful approach which was known as civil disobedience. What is civil disobedience? It is peaceful protest of any unjust law. For each and every human being who is fighting for justice, but they are using a peaceful manner, that people are following the strategy which is called civil disobedience. Now, the civil disobedience, it came from Mahatma Gandhi in India when he was fighting for the independence of India against the British colonialism. Now, Mahatma Gandhi used a non-violent approach which was called passive resistance. Are we clear? Passive resistance, it is a non-violent protest initiated by Mahatma Gandhi and adopted by Martin Luther King and other civil rights activists in fighting for their own civil rights. Above everything that has transpired, Black people wanted to end segregation that was brought by Jim Crow laws. So basically, at the end, they wanted an opposite of this, which is called desegregation. Now, desegregation is defined as putting an end to the racial segregation and opposites of this. These are key concepts that you need to understand, because as we go along with the content, you will find these key concepts. Okay, now let's move. Now, these are the crucial organizations that played a vital or a crucial role in fighting for racial equality for African Americans in USA. You will remember in South Africa during the period of apartheid, there were certain organizations for black people that fought for the freedom of South Africans, such as African National Congress, Pan-African Congress, United Democratic Front, as well as in America. African Americans had their main organizations that were in the forefront of fighting for their own freedom. These are the organization: National Association for the Advancement of Colored People, CORE, Congress of Racial Equality, SCLC, which was the Southern Christian Leadership Conference, and also Students Non-Violence Coordinating Committee. These were the organizations that were in the forefront in fighting for the racial equality for what? For African Americans in the United States of America. Okay, now let's look at the reasons for the US civil rights movement. Why African Americans decided to embark on a massive campaign which was called the civil rights movement. Now let's go through to those reasons. African Americans arrived in America due to slave trade. Now a question here is that, but USA was the country for white people. What were these Africans doing in America? That's a major question. What were these Africans doing in America? Now let me take you back for a little background. Now, white people came to the continent Africa because of the process of colonization, right? White people came to Africa because of the process of colonization. When they came to Africa, they had an impact in the lives of indigenous people of African. Are we clear? They introduced new systems, which was called slave system. When white people came to Africa, they introduced slave system. And at a later stage, they introduced an Atlantic slave trade, whereby our African people were used as a trade to different countries around the world. That is how African people arrived in America, because of slave system through Atlantic slave trade. That is why they mention, or they are referred as African Americans, because their culture or their origin comes from Africa, and now they are in America. Hence, they were called African Americans. I'm not sure if I'm making sense, Bantabam. Okay, let's continue. Let's continue with the reasons. Now, slave system in America was abolished in 1865. Now, these black Americans, African Americans, had hope that after slavery was abolished, they will have what? Racial equality in America. However, they continued to face racial discrimination, racial inequality, and police brutality in the land of their birth. Now, remember that these people that we are talking about were no longer the people that were moved from Africa. They were people who were born in America, just that they had genes of Africans. So this was their land of their birth, where they were being discriminated. Are we clear? Why they were discriminated? Why they were discriminated? Because in 1870s, in the southern states, remember I said our focus will be in the southern states, they introduced or implemented the laws of segregation. The laws of segregation. Remember, we said the laws of segregation are what? Are Jim Crow laws. Are Jim Crow laws, which were known as the Black Codes. These laws of segregation were known as the Black Codes, and this was the nickname given to it, which was Jim Crow laws, which stipulated segregation and discrimination of all public facilities and public transports in the southern states. It stated that in public facilities or in public places, there should be places for white people and there should be places for black people. Again, in the transportation industry, there was a section for black people and there was a section for white people. This is the segregation that was brought by these black coats in America. Are we clear, Bantabam? Now, these are some of the public facilities. These are some of the public facilities in which these are some of the public facilities in which they were segregation. There were separate schools in America, separate libraries, separate restrooms, separate restaurant, meaning there were schools for black people and schools for white people, libraries to read for black people and libraries for white people, restrooms for black people and restrooms for white people, restaurants for black people and restaurants for white people. You can see that what African American experience is some sort of what we know in South Africa as apartheid, because during apartheid period in South Africa, we also experienced some of these segregation in public facilities. But there was also segregation in transportation industries, as I've already mentioned. There was also segregation in transportation industries. On top of that, intermarriages between black and whites was not allowed. So basically, they said black people should be there and white people should be there. They didn't want anything that will make black people and white people stay together. That is why they even forbidden the intermarriages. Let's continue with the reasons. On top of that, Bantabam, there was a racist organization. There was a racist organization that was known as KKK, Ku Klux Klan. This racist organization, they didn't want integration between blacks and whites in the USA. They were against the integration of black people and white people in USA to an extent that they use violence to show that they don't like black people to unite with the white people. Every time they came across black people, they used violence against them. Are we clear? This organization intimidated and brutalized African American as a sign that they didn't want integration between the two groups. Because of these Jim Crow laws, African Americans were subjected to live under poor conditions because these schools for black people was under-resourced. These restrooms for black people was under-resourced. Restaurants, libraries, and all public facilities were under-resourced, which means that African Americans were living under poor conditions in America. This continued up until 1950s to 1960s, where black people got tired and said, we must stay away now, we must fight for racial equality. We must fight for racial equality. They showed their dissatisfaction through a series of protests which began in the late 1950s to the 1960s. These are the reasons that made African American to embark on a campaign known as Civil Rights Movement. Now let's move, Bantabam. Let's go now to this. Okay, right now we are going to the role of Martin Luther King Jr. This is a picture of Martin Luther King Jr. You can see here a number of people that were here participating in this march, and Martin Luther King was made as a keynote speaker in this march. But you will understand as we go along with the topic about this march. But this is a picture of Martin Luther King. Now let's look at who was Martin Luther King. Martin Luther King Jr. was a Baptist minister who played a vital role in the American civil rights movement, canvassing for the racial equality up until he was assassinated in 1968. Martin Luther King was assassinated in 1968. He played a major role in canvassing for what? For racial equality in America. Martin Luther King believed in the using of non-violent protest. Why he believed that we should use, or they should use non-violent protest in America? It because he was influenced by the ideas of Mahatma Gandhi when he was fighting against the British colonial in India to fight for Indian independence. This was because Martin Luther King was influenced indeed by the ideas of Mahatma Gandhi. This is important to note that Martin Luther King was a gifted speaker. That is why he was even made in this campaign to be a keynote speaker. What do we mean by saying he was a gifted speaker? He was an eloquent speaker. He could be able to attract people through using speeches as a gifted speaker. As a result, many people of African Americans were convinced and influenced to join and participate in the civil rights movement because of the influence that was played by Martin Luther King Jr. There is a picture of Martin Luther King Jr. Okay. Now, for African Americans, they decided that they will do something which is called civil rights movement. Now, this movement, remember, they chose a peaceful protest, which was called civil disobedience. Civil disobedience, which is a peaceful way of fighting for the unjust. Now, they decided to have various forms of protest. Now, we will be looking at the various forms of protest by African American to challenge the racial inequality in USA. The reason we said civil disobedience because all these forms of protest were in a peaceful approach. Now let's look at them. The first one was Montgomery bus boycotts in 1955. Montgomery bus boycotts in 1955. This campaign was known as the bus boycotts. Where did it take place? In Montgomery. Montgomery is the name of a place. As a result, it was named Montgomery bus boycotts of 1955. Okay, now there is an approach of which we will approaching these forms of protest. There is an approach of which we will be following these forms of protest. The first approach that we will be using is that we will first look at the reasons or challenges that we faced by African American. There were particular challenges that we faced by African American, and then we will look at the actions that was taken by African American in addressing these challenges. And then thereafter, we will look at the results, which were in a form of success. Results or successes and alama actions that were taken by African American in challenging this, in addressing these challenges that they were facing. Now let's start with the challenges that they were facing. I've highlighted it in red color. Here, which is the bus segregation law. In Montgomery bus boycotts for AIDS to embark on, because black people or African American were having this challenge, bus segregation law. Remember that I said it was a separation of public facilities, including public transportation. Bus is a public transport. There was a segregation law that stated that if white only section is filled up, black passengers were required to give up their seats. This law stated that if the white only section in the bus is filled up, black passengers, they were required to give up their seats. Let me make a scenario of a bus, Bantabam. Now, this is a bus, and this is the driver, and these are seats, all these are seats in the bus, okay? Now, in the buses, there was a section for white people. There was a section for white people. And then this section at the back was for what? Was for black people. That's in a bus. The first section should be occupied by white people. And the parts in the back of the bus should be occupied by black people. But on top of that, you can see that even the seats that are allocated in the black people section, they are very few. But on top of that, the law stated that if the white only section get filled up, black passengers in their own section must give up their seats for white people, which means that white people were allowed to even sit in a black section once it gets full in the white only section. Are we clear? Now there is a lady who played a vital role in the civil rights movement, who was known as Rosa Parks. Now, this lady was known as Rosa Parks. Rosa Parks had been the secretary for the National Association for the Advancement of Colored People. She became the secretary up until 1956. She decided that she's tired of these segregation laws of Jim Crow. Now she defied it. She did what? She defied it. She said, no, I'm no longer going to take it anymore. Now, what happened in Rosa Parks? What happened with Rosa Parks? Now, on her way to work in 1955, Rosa Parks rode a bus. And then she sat exactly where black people are supposed to be seated in their section. Now, as the bus moved along, it got filled up to a point that the white area section was full. And then there were white people who were standing. But then the driver realized that, and then the driver decided to stop the bus and went to the section for black people to ask them to give up their seats, because the law stated that if the white section is filled up, black passengers were required to give up their seats. But Rosa Parks refused to give up her seat to a white person. So she refused. Which means she defied this law. She defied this segregation law of bus segregation, of which was a crime, of which was a criminal offense. As a result, Miss Rosa Parks was arrested. Miss Rosa Parks was arrested for committing this crime of refusing to do what? To give a white person a seat. Now, the arrest of Miss Rosa Parks became the face of the media in USA. It became the face of the media in USA. Okay? Now, let's move to the action that was taken by African Americans in challenging this law. Now, African Americans embarked on an action to challenge both the law of segregation and both the arrest of what? Of Miss Rosa Parks. Now, what did they do now in challenging that? An organization, which is Southern Christian Leadership Conference, that was led by Martin Luther King Jr., organized something which was called a bus boycott, which lasted for about 11 months. What was the bus boycott? Bus boycotts, it is whereby African Americans refused to use bus as their public transports. They were no longer using bus. They preferred that they will walk to their workplaces. Those who have cars will help lifting others, but they are no longer going to use these buses because their leader in the NAACP was arrested in the buses. So as a result, they boycotted using buses. They opted to walk to their own places. Are we clear? People had to walk to their places of work or use couples sharing lift organized by the SCLC. Okay? Now, let's look at the success here of the actions that the African Americans took in challenging this challenge that they were facing, which is bus segregation. Now, let's be logic. They did a bus boycott, saying they are no longer using bus. What is happening to the bus owners companies? It's that they were losing what now? They were losing profits. They were losing profits because Black Africans or African American were not using the bus. Now we're saying the bus companies lost of about 65 to 75% of their profits since Black people decided of not using the buses. Now, this challenge or this law, it not only now became an issue for Black people, it even became an issue to white people because these bus companies that were losing profits was owned by who? Was owned by the white people in America. So now their law was affecting them because it was making them lose profits of about 65 to 75%. Are we clear, Matabam? Let's move now. Let me erase this so that we can see. Okay, now the Alabama Federal District Courts ruled the bus segregation unconstitutionally and illegally. Why? Because it was a pressure from the white people who were losing profits, the bus companies who were losing profits of about 65 to 75% of their profits. Hence, the district courts ruled segregation unconstitutionally and legally. And as a result, buses were desegregated in 1956. So these were the challenges that faced the Black people in America, bus segregation. That led to the arrest of Miss Rosa Parks. Then these are the actions that was taken by the African American in challenging these challenges. Now, this was the success that the bus companies that were owned by white people, they lost profits now, which gave pressure to the federal districts to desegregate, to make the bus segregation unconstitutional and illegal. And as a result, in December 1956, buses were desegregated. This is the first forms of protest. Remember, see now, there is no violence that has been taken through by African American because of civil disobedience. They are using a peaceful approach. A bus segregation ended in a peaceful approach. Let's move to in this slide, Bantabami, this is a picture of Miss Rosa Parks on the segregated buses where she was seated. Yeah, you can see she was a colored person. I mean, now let's look at the next forms of protest, which were known as sit-ins. It happened in a place of Greensboro, North Carolina State in 1960. It's the sit-ins. Now we follow the same approach. The challenges that we face by African Americans, right? Once we've seen the challenges, the actions that was taken by African American, and the results in a form of the success. That's the success came from the action that was taken by the African American upon addressing these challenges. Now let's go. Now the first challenge is that there was a segregation law in public facilities. There was a segregation law in public facilities or public places. As I've already mentioned as part of the reasons, there were separate public places for Black and whites. Are we clear? There was a separation in terms of public places for Black and whites. Now, this was the challenge that they were facing for African Americans to embark on a second civil disobedience campaign. Okay. Now, African Americans were not allowed in the whites-only areas such as lunch counters, libraries, cinemas, beaches, etc., etc. Now, this was a challenge because there was a section of public places for white people and a section of public places for white people. And the major challenge is that the structure or the infrastructure of the public places meant for black people was very poor compared to white people. Now, let's look at the action that was taken by African American to challenge this segregation law in public places. Let's look at the action that was taken by African American in terms of challenging or addressing this challenge, which was called segregation in public places. Okay, students wanted to take actions rather than to wait for change. It is good to note that this form of protest, which is called sit-ins, it was led by students. Remember, I said in the table at the beginning, I said there are organizations that played a key role. There was an organization which was called SNCC. These students are the ones which led this campaign of sit-ins in 1960 in Greensboro. They wanted to take an action rather than to wait for change. Okay, now sit-in started by 4 students, members of SNCC, and inspired many students to join this campaign. Now, this campaign of sit-ins was started by just a group of 4 students who were members of SNCC. They then inspired most of African American students to join the struggle for racial equality, to join the civil rights movement. One of the key figures that was motivated to join in this campaign was Stokely Carmichael. Stokely Carmichael started to participate in the civil rights movement after this campaign of sit-ins. Are we clear? Now, what did these 4 students do to challenge this segregation law? Okay, you have to listen to here because it's not here in the slides. Now, these 4 students, they decided to go to a whites-only restaurant. They decided to go to a whites-only restaurant. That whites-only restaurant was known as a Woolworths. A Woolies, a Woolworths counter. Now, they went to a whites-only restaurant and demanded to be served before they left. Now, remember, this was a whites-only restaurant. Obvious, they were not going to be served. They wanted to do this to challenge this segregation law in public places or in public facilities. I hope it's some Sanabantabam. Now, they did that knowing exactly that they are not going to be served. They stayed there up until the shop was closed. Then the following day, they were not discouraged by the fact that they were not being served. They knew exactly that they were going to be served. On the following day, they returned. And now the difference is that when they returned, it was not just only 4 students, but there were other students who joined the campaign. Now, the Woolworths counter or the whites-only restaurant was occupied and filled up with black or African American students, which definitely annoyed the white people in America. It annoyed the white people in America. Remember, there is no violence. This is just a peaceful approach, going into a whites-only restaurant and demand to be served. We are not fighting, we are demanding to be served. A peaceful approach. Okay, now these sit-ins became a massive campaign, because these students that joined the campaign, they escalated it in different parts or in different places of what? Of public facilities. They went into libraries dedicated for whites only to read ins. They went into parks dedicated to play children of white people. They went there to play ins. They went into the beaches that were dedicated to swim only white people. They went into those places. Now, obvious, the white people were intimidated and were annoyed by that. Now, that means that the white people were no longer going into these public facilities. White people were no longer going into public facilities. Now, for white people not going to these whites-only public facilities, what does it mean to the business? It obviously means that the business will collapse. It means that the business will collapse. Okay? Businesses lost money because protesters discouraged customers. Now, white people were no longer going in the whites-only public places because the places were filled up with black students. Remember, now they were being discouraged. As a result, businesses of public facilities, they lost profits. Are we clear? Now, as they lost profits, they had to act in making sure that they get profits again. Now, these forced owners of these public facilities to end segregation, and as a result, public facilities were desegregated in 1961 in Greensboro. Now you can see that the reason or the challenges that they faced, the black people, they were able to address it in a peaceful manner, and it gave them positive success because there was a desegregation in public facilities in 1961. Let's now move to the next presentation. Okay, this is a picture of the students these 4 students that we talk about who started the sit-ins campaign. I'm sure that is clear enough in your screens at homes. Okay, let's move now to the next form of protest, which was known as Freedom Rides in 1961. Freedom Rides in 1961. Again, we are using the same approach: challenge, action taken to address the challenge, and the results, which was known as successes. Now, what was the biggest challenge that was faced by African Americans to embark on this Freedom Rides campaign? It was the ongoing racial segregation in the interstate bus travel. Remember, after the incident of the Montgomery bus boycott in 1956, buses were desegregated. The bus segregation was ruled unconstitutionally and illegal. However, in America, even though bus segregation was ruled unconstitutionally, there were other states which were still practicing racial segregation on the buses. Now, African Americans wanted the government to take action against those states that are continuing with the bus segregation after the bus segregation was ruled unconstitutional in 1956. Let's look at the action that was taken by African American. Please bear with me. Now, let's look at the action that was taken by African American to challenge this challenge that they were facing. An interracial group of 13 students traveled on 2 Greyhound buses from Washington, D.C. to the south. In that map that I show you, you will see Washington, D.C. Is there in the northern states of America, where discrimination is not being practiced. So they moved from Washington, D.C. to the southern states where discrimination was taking place. They wanted to provoke these cities that continued with the bus segregation after bus segregation has been ruled unconstitutionally, and that campaign was funded by other organization known as CORE, Congress of Racial Equality, together with what? With SNCC. These 2 organizations, they funded this campaign. The reason they funded, their aim was to force the federal government to act against the racial segregation on buses. Remember, buses were desegregated in 1956 after the incident of Montgomery bus boycotts. But still, some states in America, in the southern states, they still practice in bus segregation. Now, this organization wanted to bring that into the federal government's attention by funding this campaign. They made it through the papers that this group of interracial students, they need to go to the southern states and see that they will be attacked or not. And eventually, when they went there, there was a massive attack on their buses, which caused a media attention. Massive national attention was caught because the violent attack on riders like bus banning in Alabama shocked the nation and increased support for the civil rights movement. Remember, why did CORE fund this particular campaign? They wanted to bring the federal government attention yokuthi in other states, even though bus segregation was ended, but they still continued to practice it. Now they got what they wanted. Now they knew that there will be a violent attack on those buses. Those buses will be banned, of which all that thing that transpired was caught through media, which gave a national attention. Obviously, that gave pressure to the president. Now, let's look at the successes. The administration of the president of that time, John F. Kennedy, was forced to step in due to the international embarrassment. Now, remember this group of white mob who attacked this group of 13 students. They were attacking students, and that thing was caught on media. Now, which means the president, John F. Kennedy, was forced to act on that action that was done by those people. And as a result, segregation on interstate buses ended in 1962. In 1962, Bantabam, our today's session, we were focusing on civil rights movement. Let's do a little recap on where we started. We started by showing you the map of United States of America. We told you that everything that you saw there, those names were called the states, of which we know as the provinces in the South African context. Are we clear? Now, we further said our focus will be in the southern states because that is where discrimination was occurring most of the time in the southern states. Now, we also gave you the key concepts of which you will keep on reading until you grasp them. Then we went into the forms of protest. These forms of protest, remember, they were using a peaceful approach, a civil disobedience approach. The first one that we did was the Montgomery bus boycott, whereby African American were fighting the bus segregation law, and then they had the positive results because there were successes then. And the second one was the sit-ins, whereby the African Americans was facing a challenge of segregation in public facilities, and the action that was done by or taken by a black student was that students took matters in their own hands. Remember, even in South Africa, during the Black Consciousness, students took matters according to their own hands. Now, as well as during the sit-ins, it was the student that played a role to make sure that in Greensboro, public facilities, discrimination and segregation came to an end. And then now the third one was the Freedom Rights Campaign. Freedom Rights Campaign was also the issue of bus. There was also an issue of segregation in the buses, whereby this segregation had already been ruled unconstitutional in 1956, but some states continued to practice it. And now this organization, Congress of Racial Equality, wanted to bring it to the attention of the federal government that even though you have ruled out the bus segregation, some states in the southern states had continued practicing what? To practice the segregation on bus boycotts. Sorry, on buses, yes. Now, they employed or deployed an interracial group of 13 students to travel with the Greyhound in the cities in the southern states, where they knew that they were against the integration between black and white people. And indeed, it resulted in a massive attack whereby the white mob attacked those buses and banned it, and then which gave in attention ye media. Now everyone in the country knew what was happening in the southern states, which then was an embarrassment for the country, just like USA. Hence, the president John F. Kennedy was forced to step in. Hence, in 1962, the segregation in the interstate buses, in the bus travel facilities ended. Now, let's look at this picture, Bantabam. I hope it clear in your screens, Lape Makaya. This is a picture whereby the crayon buses was attacked and banned during the Freedom Rights campaign. Now, remember, class, as got our lessons, there is a section of Q&As for any clarities, regarding our today's sessions, the question that you have, please write them down. And when we come next week, Thursday, we will continue with the forms of protest that we couldn't do today, and then but we will start by addressing your Q&As. Thank you so much. That's it for today. Siyabonga kakhulu. Remember, every Wednesday from 6 p.m. to 7 p.m. it's History Wednesday. Remember, in the Q's and A's, there is a register there. Please fill in that register. It is important for you to fill in that register. Thank you so much.